All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 3, the Gods of Frolic podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about body language, which is your dog's first form of communication. This is very exciting. Whereas last time we were talking about talking, which is our human first form of communication. Some examples of the body language that we're going to be going over today is going to be the shake-off, the hackles being raised, also known as piloerection, which, yes, makes me giggle a little bit when I say it. Also stress panting, and then cow eyes, also known as moon eyes or whale eyes, lots of eyes there. Remember, guys, this is all about us stepping back, going silent, and actually observing what our dog is trying to tell us in their first form of communication. From the moment they wake up till they go to bed at night, your dog is constantly sending nonverbal signals. Let's go over some of those signals and what they mean. And by the way, if you're watching on YouTube, I'll be including some visual examples, but if you're listening, I'm going to describe them all in detail. So the shake-off is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. From the tip of their nose to their tail, that entire body movement that feels amazing. Kind of actually gives me a little bit of a head rush when I do it, but you can tell for them it feels great. What that is throwing off of stress. I've actually mentioned this in the other 2 episodes, and I will continue to mention it because it is one of the most fundamental movements that they do. Especially if I have a stressed dog or I'm doing a temperament test, which is when I'm socializing a dog for the first time. A shake-off typically will tell me that I'm on the right track. As we understand it, it is a nervous system reset. So I always describe this to clients as you go in, you have the big meeting, you're presenting something to your boss, you're taking a big test in school. It's the moment when you get done, you walk out and you go, okay, that's over. Now I can reset and move on to something else. Now we will go to piloerection. Yes, you're welcome once again to giggle a little bit at that. God knows I do. This is more commonly known as raising of the hackles. If we look at where this happens on the dog's body, typically it's going to be toward the back of the neck, that fur kind of raising up, almost looking like porcupine, right? In certain breeds, short-hair breeds, you can also see it near the rump or the butt. Again, many chances to giggle in this episode, but again, it's that same idea of the fur kind of standing on end. Funnily enough, humans experience piloerection too. It's when we have our goosebumps, right, or your hair stands up on the back of your neck. The funny thing with this is, a lot of times in socialization situations or when I'm teaching classes, somebody will chime in with, oh, his hackles are standing up, that means he's getting aggressive. Not necessarily. It can also be a sign of excitement, of like, oh, I'm about to play, or we just got to the park, I'm going to run, or oh man, it's a reaction from the body that does demonstrate stimulation. So we could read it as basic as that. So lastly, for the canine body, before we move on to the face, you want to look at where your dog is in space. So are they curving away from something? Are they squared off to something? Where is the head position? Is it dropped? Is it raising up? Most people seem to be aware of what a play bow is. If you're not, that's when a dog throws their butt up in the air like they don't care. And then splays their paws out in front of them. This is an invitation to play. Great sign if I'm doing socialization, trying to get dogs to mix up to see if they're going to be a good match to play. As soon as I start seeing the play bows happen, that's great. I'll even throw in there too, I like a good back and forth. Hey, I chase you, you chase me. Maybe you flip on your back and I flip on mine and back and forth. Doesn't have to be perfectly balanced, but I definitely want to make sure that one dog isn't spending more time in a particular position or looking stressed in that position. Again, not that far from kids playing on a playground. We want everybody to take turns, we want everybody to communicate, and then we're good to go. So now we can move our focus to the face and the head. On purpose, as I do all things, I actually started by talking about the body because that's where I want you to look first. There's so many signals that I find my clients miss because we don't notice body language as much as our dogs do. Now, what I find fascinating, studies have shown that dogs have developed more facial control, more facial expression since they've been in proximity to humans. So depending on who you're talking to, 30,000, 40,000 years ago, you start to see it branch off. Now, this could be because of selective breeding, because humans love the puppy dog eyes and we bred those dogs more. You could also see it as an adaptation for dogs to learn to communicate more with us, because again, we read facial expressions so much more than we do other parts of the body. So let's start at the top of the head and work our way down. What do we have at the very top? Typically, the ears. Although, no offense to like my basset hounds and my droopy kids, God bless them. But again, in the ears, the first thing you're going to see, are they pointing forward? Are they pulled back? What I love is watching a dog, especially their ears and their nose. You can see them picking up sounds and smells. It's really wonderful to watch how they parse through the environment, and it'll actually show you. Again, they have that rotation to their ears or their nostrils flaring. These are little data processing engines. If we put down our phones, sorry, this is kind of judgmental, and we actually watch them, it's really, really, really fascinating. So where are those ears? Are they pointing forward? Are they pointing back? And as I already said, maybe your dog has the clipped ears, or maybe they have long droopy ones, or maybe it's lost in all their fur. All that's fine. This is just one of the many signposts we can use to read them. So moving down the head, we get the eyebrows, or the little furrow they have, the advanced weaponry known as puppy dog eyes. Now, that goes into an interesting place in terms of that is the specific musculature that has been studied in terms of evolution. But in terms of that, dogs can definitely emote through the eyebrow area. What draws my attention, what gives me a faster read in terms of a dog's comfort or discomfort, is going to be their eyes. So this one is fun just because you get all the different names. I have no idea why they developed all these different names, but it is fun. You can collect them all. They're called cow eyes, moon eyes, whale eyes. Again, you can do your own research in terms of what animal relates to what. What we're talking about here is the white part of the eye, which is the sclera. If you notice your dog in a resting state, you often do not see that part of their eye. As they rotate around, as they look left and right, it won't show up. Now, when they are stressed, you're going to see more of that. I would recognize it first and foremost as a widening of the eyes in general. Again, we share this trait a little bit as humans. However, the difference is we can see our sclera even in a resting phase. Not so with dogs. So if you ever see the whites of the eyes really showing through the sclera, that means that they could be pretty stressed out. As we continue to move through our systems of expression, what a fun phrase that is, we're going to be moving to the mouth shortly. But before we get down to that, I want you to be able to put all these signals together to give yourself an answer as to what's happening. So if your dog is only looking to the side and showing the whites of the eyes, well, what's happening with their ears? What's happening with their head? What's happening with their body? Not only are we trying to absorb this information, we actually have to get over some bad habits. A lot of people will see a dog maybe looking to the side or having the big cow eyes as being cute, or as a sign that they can approach and pet them or bring their dog over or whatever it is. Well, if I have the big cow eyes happening and a dog is turning their head to the side and their ears are pinned back and their body's very stiff, 1, 2, 3, now I know that's a dog that does not want to be interacted with. Okay, so we have hit the ears, the eyes, we do have the nose. There's not a lot to do with that, at least visually. I mentioned before, watching them sequence their noses. I could do a whole other podcast just on their noses alone because they're amazing. By the way, if your dogs are listening to this, don't let any of this go to their egos, okay? They don't deserve like 3 dinners because it's like, well, the podcast man said that I have an amazing nose. You should let me have whatever I want, whenever I want it. No, that's not how it works. Something you can listen for with the nose is known as the play sneeze. This is when your dog is having some fun and they're doing that kind of noise. Looks and sounds like a sneeze. And sometimes, just like Freud would say, a sneeze is just a sneeze. And remember, we're putting all of this into the context of what's happening in the situation, what's going on around them. But if the context is play, and especially if they're with another dog or dogs, that sneeze is a great indicator for me. Now, the other thing too we sometimes get is puppy breathing. That kind of it's not like a full pant. It's kind of like excited breathing. That can be another really good sign. context, context, context. Let's move down to those big old beautiful jaws. I'm excited to say we get another fun word, which is the commissure or commissures of the dog. Right away, when I first heard this, I was like, ooh, this sounds French. I'm excited about it. It's not, I don't think. Basically, this is the corner of your dog's mouth. I'm starting there because this is one that I find when I bring it up with clients or I point it out, people don't know. They really don't know about this. What it is the point where in your dog's mouth where the upper lip meets the lower lip, and where that is in space in relationship to the rest of the face, that will tell you a lot. So one of the key things that tells me a dog is really uncomfortable or I'm perhaps approaching a bite situation is if the commissures are very tight and forward, almost like a human doing like almost like a puckering of the mouth. Overall, tightness in the body or the face, that is going to be something that's going to make me pay closer attention. But especially there, if you see the commissures coming forward, that is prime indication that a dog is, that something could happen there. So I would advise in those moments, take a step back. They can also be all the way back. You get what's called a bit of a stress grin, where the tongue is lolling out, the teeth are all the way back, sometimes even exposing the gums. So that's another one where we have some stress, but perhaps it's not going to be leading to a bite. Hopefully you guys are picking up here. There's just thousands of ways that this can go. And I could understand how that would be overwhelming or daunting. Like, oh, there's so much. Well, his ears did this, but his eyes look this, but he was just playing. I mean, what? Again, don't try to do all of it at once. You're just stepping back and taking a little bit at a time. We'll tag on with the mouth as well. Obviously, you've got panting. Now, stress panting. That's something where I look at it and I'm like, okay, what's going on in this space? Has the dog just recently been active? Is it hot in the space? If I'm in a client's house, it's completely air conditioned and there's a specific trigger, like maybe the dog saw an animal outside or putting the leash on, or they're just not comfortable with my presence, period, then I can draw the conclusion of, oh, we're getting some stress panting. Another one too is a big stress yawn. That's when the jaw is completely open and it's almost like they're stretching those muscles. For dogs, their jaws are very, very powerful muscles. And so they carry a lot of stress in that area. The mandible, the way it connects, you can see the kind of the bone at the top of the head. You can see that tightness even build there and go down. Stress yawns or yawns actually can be a way to self-soothe as well. I have known some trainers, and I've done it myself, to where I'll do a big yawn as a dog like hears a noise outside or something. I'll just look at them and, you're okay, buddy. There's another level to the yawn where you get some noise with it. Maybe a high-pitched whine like I gotta say, I'm absolutely enjoying the dog theater that I'm doing right now of acting all this stuff out. Now, I have heard it said that is more of a stress indicator if there's a big whine noise. I mean, whining in general, that could also be excitement. But hopefully you're starting to see the pattern, as I've already said, of putting all these things together. I'm not relying on just one thing like, oh, this dog has cow eyes or moon eyes, or the commissures are tight and forward by itself. Dogs can be even in a play state, and those commissures will come forward. They'll be like, oh, or I mean, my God, if you've ever been around a Rottweiler, they, once again, sound like the gates of hell are being opened up, and they're just playing, So again, with all of this, take it one piece at a time and use it to put together the entire picture. So there we go. I think we've covered the entire anatomy of the face. Woo! So once again, we move on to the other animal in this relationship, the human. We are also creatures of body language. As I've already mentioned, we're so very verbal, a lot of times we don't notice it. But an example I used to use in class is if I'm walking past you on the street and maybe our paths get a little crossed up, I would correct that by looking up, maybe a little bit of eye contact, nodding at you, and then veering away to make space for you to pass me. And I used to do this by choosing a human volunteer, walking towards them and exercising that first, what we would call the polite version. And then the second version is the one where I walk directly toward them, not blinking, full disturbing eye contact, and then just let them kind of absorb that. And this, once again, is to show we have interactions like this all the time, perhaps even in an elevator, in a grocery store line. Now, of course, you add to this the fact that we all have our faces on our smartphones. It brings in a whole other level that I'm going to talk about in a minute. But these are just a few examples of how we also are processing these nonverbal signals all the time. This is always a fun moment with clients where I'm like, yes, and now you have a dark power and you must use it cautiously. Because once you start to see body language, you can't unsee it. You see it in dogs and you're like, oh, that dog's about to meet that dog. Well, he looks a little tense. I don't know about that. Or it's going to help you to navigate these situations. But then, even when you don't have dogs around, you're going to start to notice when people's shoulders get a little tight. All I can say is use these powers for good. So now it is revealed, this is why we start with hand signals when we're doing active training. We are once again communicating with your dog in their form of language instead of ours. Hopefully that makes more sense now. You know, every trainer, every person can have different hand signals. You can mix it up, use what works for you. However, make sure you're being consistent. So for me, quick example, I use palm facing up, my body, or my arm rather, bending at the elbow, coming up to a 90-degree angle. That's my sit. I want to make sure too that I refer to this as the dog version of mumbling. I'll get people that'll have kind of a weak hand, or they'll kind of just like, they'll bring the hand up too high. And remember, from your dog's perspective, which is lower down, they're looking up. You want to really try to see it through their eyes. Are you being clear and concise with those hand signals? If you're asking them to do a go to your bed, are you actively and, shall we say, crisply pointing at the bed and making that evident to them? Once again, the human version is, yeah, so when you get to that road, you want to take a right versus, yeah, when you get to the road, take a right. Another factor here that some people don't think of is distance. We want these hand signals to be strong and concise and have clarity, because your dog might have to see them or interpret them from 10, 15, 20, 25 feet away. I regularly work with a long lead that's 30 feet away, and want to make sure that if I'm calling my dog over, I'm using the hand signal. I want them to be able to see very clearly that that's what I'm asking them for. Another example I use for this is the guys that help land the planes, right? Like, they're guiding the plane in, and if they have to get it to turn to the right, they're very, very clear. I'm gesturing. Hopefully you can hear that with their movements to let the pilot know what they need to do. Okay, so we've established why we're using the physical cues. So then the next question is, when are we going to add the words? With the hand signals, what we are aiming for is 8 out of 10 successes. So what that means is, if you're doing sit with your dog, you are presenting the hand signal of the palm facing up, or whatever your hand signal is, being consistent, being clear with your movement, and also giving them a buffer zone so they can figure it out. You are going to put that hand signal out 10 times, and if they get it 8 of those 10 times, that means that you are ready to add the word. So remember, doing your celebrations after you've achieved this. These are big moments, okay? So we want to really enjoy that. Again, higher register, higher frequency, saying it only one time with the hand signal, sit, and they achieve it. Great. Now you can move to just using the word, which is a whole other level itself. As you change, as you move forward, give them time to process it. And then, as I already stated, I'll say it again because it's that important, really celebrate this stuff. And if you're connected, if you and your dog are really working together, it's going to happen naturally, because you are going to see that little sparkle in their eye where they're like, oh, you mean this? And you go, yes, that's what I mean. Oh my God, my child is so smart. You know, this is what we want as you continue along your canine Duolingo lessons together. Okay, so as we've established, I am a weirdo, because as much as I love the celebratory moment of, yeah, I said it and he got it and awesome, it's amazing, I actually get more excited when they don't get it, because now I get to go into full detective mode, right? Especially when I'm doing my outdoor classes. Immediately I'm like, we've got a mystery to solve. So let's say you are in that outdoor class and you're asking for the coming one called and they just aren't getting it. Well, we've already done a full breakdown of taking a step back, literal and figurative, move to a different part of the space so they can kind of get that reset, and then look around. What's distracting them? What's going on? This is going to make, when they do get it, that much sweeter and that much more enjoyable because you've taken the time to step away, give them the time they need, and give yourself the time they need as well. One of my favorite stories that I'll tell really quickly is I had this little Chinese water crested, which you hadn't seen those dogs, look them up, they're amazing, named Benji. And Benji, for some reason, had just, he's a little guy, he's like, I think less than like 30 pounds, but he just had concrete pillar legs. He would not sit. He just would not do it. And he would do everything else. He would even be comfortable in a down, which is very strange. A lot of times dogs do the sit first and the down they're less comfortable with. But yeah, just he would look around, and so we spent a 7-week class of just being like, okay, well, he's not going to sit. Okay, he stayed. Well, he can do that standing. That's fine. We're just compromising. We're moving him around. We're, which dogs is he next to? Oh, okay, there's that squirrel that was getting him. And then I remember I was working with another dog, and then I heard, Mike, Mike, and it was the mom saying, look, and Benji had his beautiful little butt planted on the ground, and everybody, not just me and the mom, everyone in the class literally put our arms up. We're like, yeah, oh my god. It was like the end of the sports movie, like Rudy or whatever, where we're just like, he did it. And of course, Benji's like, I guess, okay, wow, you guys got really excited about me just like sitting down. We're like, yeah, dude. And from then on, he nailed it. So it could literally take your dog however long it takes. Remember, it's the journey of getting there and the bond you're forming as you're doing it. All right, beloved canine companions, that is another step on our own dog journey of the Gods of Frolic podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. Remember, you can find me on Instagram at underdowndogtraining. That also happens to be my email, underdowndogtraining@gmail.com. Feel free to hit me up with some questions, or, hey, listen, we all know the true coin of the realm here, which is cute dog pictures. So feel free to put those up on Instagram and tag me with that as well. And keep in mind, guys, at the end of the day, everything that I'm sharing with you here is professional opinion. It's up to you to decide how you want to move forward with your dogs. Stay safe, be aware, don't force things, and I will see you guys on the next episode. Thanks so much.